back. Let's get into lesson 2 of topic 6, renewable energy resources. So we talked last time about non-renewable energy resources. Let's look into renewable energy sources. So these are considered alternative, again, renewable energy sources, alternative being alternative from fossil fuels. So these renewable sources can be replaced by nature or replaced with the help of humans. So we can't run out of it. So an example of how we get these sources, that could be from solar energy, hydroelectric resources, wind energy, geothermal energy, and bioenergy resources, which we'll get into. Okay, so first is solar energy. This is probably the most common that we see. There's passive and active solar energy. So passive energy, this is when sunlight through glass can heat a room, so it's giving thermal energy to a building. An example of this is a greenhouse. So with all those glass comes warm heat into the building. Okay, so that would be passive solar energy. Active solar energy is when sunlight is captured by solar cells. We could see those solar cells on the calculator or in a solar panel, and those are converted into electrical energy, which we use in our houses. Okay, so for active solar energy, the cost is initially high, but usually pays off over time. And the cons is sunlight is inconsistent, especially in Buffalo. It's cloudy basically every other day. So you see more of solar energy being used near sunnier areas. Okay, next, let's talk about hydroelectric power or hydroelectric resources. So turbines in the dams convert energy of moving water into electricity that we could use. You can see this over by Niagara, by the Niagara Falls, and we have an actual hydroelectric power source. We could see these dams. If you go to a park called Ark Park, it's basically right by it. So these hydroelectric dams restrict flow of a river and can limit the flow of water. So that's a con. It can limit the flow of water that's naturally occurring. So it could also disrupt the migration patterns and can change the river width and flow because it's restricting the flow. So another con is that you have to be close to a source of moving water. So if you're landlocked, if you're in the middle of the US, there might be less hydroelectric resources near you. Okay, so hydroelectric power, they use turbines in the dams to convert energy of this moving water into electricity. Okay, and then there's wind energy. This is when we are able to move the air masses. Remember, warm air rises and expands, which allows cool air to move in. So we're using that movement to create energy through the wind. Okay, so we're using that movement with that turbine. So that is a wind turbine, and gaining energy from that. So wind farms, which is what those turbines in groups are called, they do best in areas with high wind. So you could see this sometimes around Buffalo. There's one actually by the Buffalo Harbor. And they're high cost to build, but they're the fastest growing energy source in the world. Okay, so wind is everlasting. We always have wind. So that would make it a renewable energy source. Okay, next is geothermal energy. This is when we get heat from the rock in Earth's crust. So we gotta drill deep into the Earth's crust, and it can be used to actually warm homes. It also can be used to generate electric. Again, the initial cost is high with renewable energy, but it usually pays off. So the best sites are near volcanoes. There's more heat. And the geothermal reservoirs are not always easy to find. So these are more rare to find. Okay, lastly is bioenergy resources. The easiest way to describe it, it's basically making a fire. That's a bioenergy resource. So we take wood, grass, even coconut husk and other plant-based materials, and we use that to produce heat and light. So simply, it's making a fire. It's limited in where they could grow, so where the plants can grow, and also it still produces CO2 pollution, produces air pollution, so it's not quite as healthy for our environment as other resources like solar or wind. But these can be turned into biofuels like ethanol and biodiesel that we could use afterwards. Okay. So that was it, super quick. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned a little something new.